Hello friends, what's going on, and welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Hope you're doing well, and yes, just to freshen it up a little bit, I've made a different scene for you. A bit of a football therapy background-ish, and one of the old borders. Just, I like to freshen it up. Why not make it a bit different every now and again? For you guys, stimulate your eyeballs a little bit differently. And if there's one thing I want to do to you, it's stimulate your eyeballs. I've always said it. Welcome back to Chelsea News. And shock decision, something that many people won't be thinking about and probably have chosen not to think about. James Horncastle has written a piece for The Athletic talking about Romelu Lukaku back to Chelsea. It's that PTSD moment when you're in the trenches and you start thinking, what do we do? Do we call him? Does he come back? Of course, Lukaku has scored 2 goals in 2 games for Inter and is making his return. Now, your instinctive, visceral gut reaction would be, well, that Breda does not want to come back to Chelsea after what happened. And you'd probably think, yes, true. But you'd also have to say the return to Inter hasn't been Hollywood for the big Belgium. He's obviously had issues. He hasn't hit the ground running. Some Inter fans were seemingly done with him. But apparently, I'm very interested to read this. The Chelsea ownership say nothing's off the table. Of course, he left because I don't think he had the greatest relationship with our previous gaffer, Tommy Took. And maybe Graham Potter is the answer. I mean, it's always been said that for Romelu to get the best out of him, you need an arm around him. Antonio Conte understood that. Roberto Martinez understood that at Belgium. And no matter what you think of the golden generation of Belgium, and probably what has seemed as a big failure, I think they had a 3rd place finish in the World Cup or whatever. But still, ultimately, they were ranked the best team in the world. He scores a whole bunch of goals for him. He has been Belgium's top goal scorer for a long, long time. And he scored a lot of goals. Now, I know many of you won't want to hear this, but I don't know what it's going to say yet. I want to read it. One thing is for sure, what the future holds for Big Rom is certainly interesting, because he is not a record signing. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Oh, hold on, I'm just going to enjoy that for a moment. Oh, Romelu Lukaku is no longer our record signing. It is World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez. That's good. All right. Let's see what big Jimmy Horncastle has to say about this, because I'm very interested to learn. Hopefully you are too. And thank you for joining me, by the way. There's a big button here. Apparently you should like. Oh, and subscribe. That's very sweet of you. Hey, why not? Support me if you want to. Ultimately, just do what you want, innit? Let's have a look then. James Horncastle writes this for The Athletic. On the roof of Inter's headquarters in Milan's regenerated Porta Nuova district, the club's chairman, Metaverse Fashionista. I have no idea what the hell that means. What's a Metaverse Fashionista? I don't know, but apparently it's Steven Zhang. He opened TikTok and announced Romelu Lukaku's improbable return less than a year after his 115 million euro sale to Chelsea. Allow me to reintroduce myself, etc. The big boss is back, Zhang excitedly declared. It was like deja vu. Remember 3 years ago when we were here, Lukaku smiled, giving a thumbs up. It was like yesterday. Zhang said, suddenly at a loss for words, we're going to score a lot of goals this year. He hoped. Lukaku insisted, that's what I'm here for. This sounds like the most... I think I actually watched this video, and yes, I believe it is that awkward. You promise? Zhang wagered, holding out his hand for Lukaku to shake on it. So I should have been like, welcome back to Chelsea. Promise you're going to score a lot of goals? Because now we've signed you, Lukaku. A lot of people are tipping us to win the Premier League title. Like, you're the answer. You're the solution, big man, Scored a goal against Arsenal, and it was like, we've arrived. He bullied the Arsenal centre-backs, and we were here. Chelsea are complete. We've completed football team. This is it now. All the rest of you can pack your bags It's over because Chelsea are complete. How little did we know. Lukaku scored 64 times in 95 appearances in his first spell for Inter. 64 and 95. And, by the way, he also got a load of assists. He was like a goal involvement a game, basically, which is incredible, really. He left as the league's most valuable player. The assumption was Lukaku would pick up where he left off. And within minutes, making his second Serie A debut in Inter, Lukaku scored in Lecce. And all the forecasts were sunny in their optimism. Yeah, do you remember we sold Lukaku? Well, we loaned Lukaku back to Inter. And we sold Timo Werner back to Leipzig. And they both scored on their returns. Their first games back, they both scored. And I was just like, it's just so Chelsea. Yes, so sunny optimism. Inter had relinquished their title, the one Lukaku won on the final day of the season in May. Who would stop them reclaiming it from AC Milan? Now Rom was in town again. Would it be Rom? The King of Milan seemed poised to take back the crown and make Inter rule again. God darn it. If you tuned into their round of 16 tie against Porto in the Champions League at the San Siro, you could be forgiven for thinking the reign has been uninterrupted. Lukaku was the match winner, hitting the post before careening the only goal a game past Diogo Costa on the rebound. It was a huge goal for him, and not just because it gives Inter a strong chance of reaching the Champions League quarterfinals for the first time in, 12 years! That's wild! 12 years. Well, that would have been since they won the treble, I guess. Since Jose Mourinho won the treble with Inter. Wow, that's good. I mean, yeah, fair play. The significance assumed came down to the past 6 months, not planned to Lukaku. Yeah, he had a good game, he scored a good goal. In Serie A, he has not found the back of the net from open play since the opening weekend. And he started the Porto game on the bench. His famous Lalu duet with... what the hell's a Lula duet? I don't know. Oh, Lukaku, Lautaro. I was like, what's a Lula? I thought it was like a football term that I've missed out on. Like, a Lula. Is that like a sort of like, you get a regista in the middle and you have a Lula in front and, before you know it, you're a football hipster. But no, Lukaku, Lautaro. His duet with Lautaro has not had much opportunity to flourish, and once the junior partner in that tandem, Martinez, a world champion, yeah, he didn't do much in the World Cup though, did he, is now the player Inter fans look to for big moments. In Italy, more broadly, the striker everyone is talking about is, of course, linked to Chelsea Football Club, Victor Osimhen, who stands miles out in front of the top of the scoring charts, while his team Napoli are 15 points clear at the top of the table in Serie A, in a league of their own. We were linked to Victor Osimhen, I think, even before we bought Lukaku. I've definitely done videos on it before. I remember way back doing Chelsea news videos on Victor Osimhen. He played in Liga, was it Lille or something? I can't remember. But we were linked with him. And now he'll cost a ridiculous amount of money. Pundits have even gone on to wonder whether Inter would have been better off signing Paulo Dybala on a free transfer from their rivals Juventus last summer than taking back Lukaku. And they nearly did get Paulo Dybala. I think he wanted to go to Inter. Of course, he ended up signing for Roma, and he had that massive, this is like when you realise the Italian fan culture is wild. When they announced Paulo Dybala, it was like the biggest gig you've ever seen. It was kind of like surreal. Talks were advanced enough only to break off when emotion drove through Lukaku's loan. Inter, still ailing from the squeeze of their owner's sinning core business and the pandemic, could not afford to take on both the players' wages simultaneously. Dude, I think we probably pay a lot of Lukaku's wages while he plays for Inter on loan. Here we go. Even on a discount on his Chelsea salary, Lukaku is Serie A's highest paid footballer. No way! I suppose Ronaldo's gone, but still, that reflects badly on us. We play some of it. This is just another immense example of the money in the Premier League. We pay a portion of Lukaku's salary to Inter, and he's still the highest paid player in Serie A. I think of what's the blockbuster players in Serie A at the moment? Like, who's left? I don't know. Not that many, I guess. I was thinking, like, who's playing? Yeah, okay, maybe not at the moment, like, you know, like the big... But it'd be really interesting to... I'll do that another day, look at the highest paid players, but it'd be interesting to them. So he's the highest paid player at the moment. Inter have surprisingly got little bang for their buck on the combined 20 million it's costing them to pay Stamford Bridge. Even that, we should be happy we got that. Romelu loves Inter, the Inter chief said outside at the club's Christmas party. But for love nor money, is it enough? Cash is what Inter have been short on these past couple of years, as with the 30 million euro asking price they paid for Joaquin Correa, they cannot afford to waste him. Quote, he knows full well that he's in our debt. A penalty in the 3-1 win against Udinese at the weekend was a step towards repaying it, although Lukaku got a little lucky after seeing his first effort saved. Interesting. He's getting a little bit lucky here, Romelu Lukaku. At least he's starting regularly in Serie A again. Lukaku snapped a microtendon in his flexor over the autumn, an injury he considers the worst he suffered in 13 years. All positive stuff for us, the owner of this player. Not what you want to hear. The World Cup in November is probably the 29-year-old's last for Belgium. Whoa. Probably the last time he's played for Belgium. Surely not. Oh, the World Cup, the last World Cup. Sorry, I read that as the last time he plays for Belgium. Yeah, all right. So he'll be 33 when the next World Cup comes around. I mean, he might go as like a senior striker. So that's why probably. I don't know. For some reason, I read that as in like he's gonna retire from international football, like in his 20s as the country's top goal scorer. Didn't think that would happen. He could not afford to take any chances with the manner in which the country were eliminated, not to mention his miss. Bro, if you remember that game against Croatia and Lukaku, did he come on for it? He's brawn, he got loads of chances, he missed loads, he was in tears. Thierry Henry was like, comforting him. It was honestly like, from all the way Lukaku shafted my club with that interview, it was a tough watch, Like I was getting like messages, granted not from Chelsea fans, WhatsApps that were watching that game. Like, yeah, this is a bit rough to watch, sort of thing. Yeah, as comebacks go in Serie A, this season is arguably only Paul Pogba's second spell at Juventus has come more underwhelming. Yeah, they were both broken by Man United. Actually, that's not true because Lukaku was so good at Inter. Lukaku has been limited to 571 minutes in the league, which is still 571 minutes more than Pogba. Yeah, that is tragic as well, bro. In stark contrast to his first spell with Antonio Conte, his fitness coach Antonio Pintus, and his nutritionist Matteo Pinchella. By the way, Matteo Pinchella, his nutritionist, should probably get sacked because he was packing timber. Were able to transform his body and get the best out of Lukaku. Oh, they're talking about back in the day. Conte is now at Tottenham and Pintus is back at Real Madrid. Oh, okay, so that's why he's fat. If you come over to my house, it looks like a hospital, Lukaku told Sky Italia. Full state-of-the-art machines to help me recover as soon as possible. But the contraption in need of most attention is the clock. After missing nearly half of Inter's league games, time was running out for Lukaku. We expect big things from him, Morata said. Otherwise, keeping him is hard to justify. Yeah. Last night's goal against Porto could represent a turning point. Lukaku looked sharp when he came on, teeing up Martinez with a good chance before the winning goal arrived. Go on, Big Rom, make us some money, or oh my god, are you going to come back? That's terrifying. But even if he suddenly hits form and scores in every game from now to the end of the season, what does the future lie for Romelu Lukaku? So this is the interesting part. Inter cut their losses from 245.6 million euros to 140 million euros last year. So they're on the right track. The thing is, Inter, they spent loads of money. They won Serie A, and Lukaku and Lautaro were great, but they still were screwed financially. They still couldn't keep Antonio Conte. He went. They still sold Romelu Lukaku for £100 million to us. Remember that? You might remember that. They still sold Ashraf Hakimi for like £70 million to Paris Saint-Germain. So that, they were, despite that, they needed to sell. But they still have over 400 million euro bond to service, and more pressingly, nearly a 300 million euro loan from Oak Tree Capital Management with 12% annual interest. I recently got a mortgage, right, in the UK, and I got it right in the sweet spot of a terrible time to get a mortgage. I'm a first-time buyer. It's ridiculously hard to buy even a little flat around here, and I'm paying a harrowing interest rate, and I'll leave it at that. So the departure of Ivan Perisic last summer and Milan Skriniar, of course, he's going to go to PSG as well. Throw in the problems Inter have with shirt sponsors, and love alone won't keep Lukaku. Lukaku's all about love. You know, needing to be loved by his manager and loving Inter Milan. That's what he loves. And he loves an interview, doesn't he? He's done a couple, not recently, he did one at Chelsea and he did another one recently. Look, basically, they're financially screwed. Inter, only a handful of peers can do that now and operate like in the Premier League. Basically, they said this: we can't do what some of our competitors in England are doing. Spending loads of money. Look, I'm so annoyed, right? Because the Premier League makes money, so we're allowed to spend it. They're just annoyed that the product is better. And look, I don't want to sound like, because it does sound like this sort of like a late elitist thing when people say, well, you know, football was invented in England. It's our game. It's right that the country of the most rich old footballing heritage has the best football league in the world. Because, to be honest, it doesn't. It comes down to economics, doesn't it? And the fact is, the best managers came, the best players came, the more best players came, the more best managers came, and then the most money's here. And obviously we've got all the big old stadiums from... So people are just pissed off. Like the Tebas in La Liga, you know, they're all just basically upset that we've got to the point where we've generated money. Yes, we've spent more in the market, but when you got the cash you want to win, you buy nice stuff. Football as a whole could be regulated, but don't be pissed off because we earn more money, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so Lukaku said this: I want to stay here and do good. As in staying at Inter. I hope to do well, to give my all, then we'll talk to Chelsea and hopefully find a solution. What that is remains to be seen. Thomas Tuchel is no longer the coach of Chelsea, and the team are in desperate need of a striker. Nothing apparently is off the table, not even a return to Stamford Bridge. Dun, dun, dun. Although building bridges... Very good, James Horncastle. With the fan base, that might be harder than it has been at San Siro. And when he returned to San Siro to Inter, the fans were not happy. They were not. They weren't like, oh, welcome back. They were like, mate, you absolutely ditched us. Initially indifferent at the Curva Nord, the Curva Nord appreciated Lukaku's mea culpa celebration after the goal in the Champions League against Victoria Pleasant in October. Todd Boehly granted Lukaku his wish to move back to Inter last summer, listening to him and his representatives after Belgium's Nation Leagues game against the Netherlands. But what if, as seems likely, he is returned to sender? So it's like James Horncastle is saying, it is likely he is returned to sender. Lukaku has, after all, now scored more goals, this is going to hurt guys, bracket 2 in February than Chelsea, bracket 1. Quote, damn, look how in shape I am, he joked, without realising when he was on air after Wednesday's game. Inter now hope Lukaku can stay fit to the end of the season, and more is to come from him. The question is, for how long? So look, two things can happen here, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen. We sell Lukaku to Inter for like nothing, and he takes minimum to no wages. Or he comes back, we have to pay his full wages again, and he's just knocking about Stamford Bridge when we know he'll always publicly be like, I prefer and love Inter. That's rough and tough. But it has been floating around social media. Could Lukaku return? Are we just losing our minds because we've been playing so badly? Possibly. Look, I think maybe after a long conversation between Graham, say if we pick up some goals, a long conversation between Graham Potter and Lukaku. The thing is as well, we've got different players now, and Lukaku might be like Enzo Fernandez, João Felix, Madueke, you know, we've got a whole new bloody squad recently. Like, you know, Mudryk running down the channels and cutting back like Lautaro used to for him. I don't know. I'm just saying that he might fancy that, but do we fancy that? He absolutely shafted Chelsea with that interview, but can sentiments be brushed aside when in need for results, when in need? And also, what if you have him for a year, he plays well, or scores some goals, and then you sell him, you manage to sell him to an actual football club, you know, as in like you transfer him to still like a European league for £30 million. Datro Fofana's ready by then. You know, Armando Bruya has returned from injury and is, you know, waiting to be fed by Fernandez and João Felix, etc., etc. Should we keep João Felix? A lot to consider. Look, this is a hella long video. I wanted to talk about it because I've been reading a lot of opinions and I'll be very keen to find out what people have to say. So thanks for joining me. Let me know if you like this setup, if you want to see it again. Yeah, thanks for liking, subscribing. You are welcome to subscribe no matter where you come from. This is long, so I'm going to end it. Take care of yourselves. Love you lots. Peace.